Jeffrey, how long does it take to get my property rented? This is the #1 question that I get from owners once they're ready to put their home on the market. In this video, we're going to explore a case study of 2 separate properties that were similar but had drastically different results in leasing times based on where the owners preferred to price them. For this illustration, we're going to use the definition of vacancy rather than days on market. I share this because the industry lingo is to share the days on market. While this is easy to understand, it really is a bit misleading, as this counts the day from the moment it goes on the market to the moment the lease gets signed. This means the property technically got rented. However, there may still be some time from the moment that the lease gets signed all the way up until the resident moves in and starts paying rent. From an owner's perspective, you are looking to count the total vacancy. So this is what we're going to use to compare apples to apples. Let's get started. If you were able to get an additional $100 per month for your property, wouldn't you take it? Of course. We all want to get the most that the marketplace is willing to pay for our property. However, there's a direct correlation between the price of a property and the volume of applications that it may get. When it comes to your rental, we can help prepare a rental analysis, which will give us, you as the owner and us as the property management company, an idea of what other properties have been renting for. This range will vary on the price point, but in the $3,000 to $4,000 price range, it is common to see a $300 difference between the floor and the ceiling in pricing. The following are 2 properties that are both in North Orange County, which we leased around the same time. However, each owner had a difference of opinion as far as how to price it. Let's take a look. For property A, the rental analysis showcased that the range was $4,200 on the low side and $4,500 on the high side. The owner was more concerned with being able to rent it quickly, and they were very mindful about selecting the best qualified applicant. Therefore, being able to review multiple applications was important to them. With this in mind, they opted to price it at $4,200. We went live with the property on the market on March 11th and had multiple applications after the first weekend. We were able to screen the applicant and get the verification process completed, as well as have the applicant sign their lease. All of this happened within 1 week. The move-in date was April 3rd. Total vacancy, 24 days. For property B, the rental analysis showcased the range to be $4,300 on the low side and $4,600 on the high side. The owner wanted to get the most that the marketplace would be willing to pay and therefore priced it on the high side. We went live on February 12th at $4,600. We did not receive much activity and 0 applications. After 2 weeks, we decided to make the adjustment to $4,500. At that price point, while we did receive some activity, we did receive a couple of unqualified applicants, so we had to pass on them. In addition, we started accepting an applicant who changed their mind at the last minute. We ended up making another adjustment to $4,400 about 2 weeks later. From there, we had another household apply, which we accepted. We went through the entire verification process, but unfortunately, they changed their mind last minute. Finally, we accepted a great candidate. However, we needed to negotiate the move-in date to May 1st. Since we didn't have an alternative application, we had to be lenient on the move-in date. Total vacancy days, 78. Look, I want to make it clear. Pricing is not a right or wrong decision. Every owner is different and their tolerance for vacancy is different. Some could say that the owner of property A left some money on the table, and that may be the case. However, all things being considered, this ended up being a good fit for them as they felt comfortable being able to review multiple applications, allowing them to choose a household that had high credit scores, high income, and wanted to schedule their move-in date soon after they got accepted. For property B, the owner of this home is financially strong and could weather the vacancy, as they wanted the most that the marketplace would be willing to pay. Look, the reality is that pricing a rental property is both a science and an art. I have personally been wrong on both sides of the spectrum. There's been times where I've looked at the property, at the rental analysis, and I've made the suggestion, hey, let's start at the high end of the rental analysis. The owner shared, hey, it's great, but I'm okay if it rents for less. I felt bad because we found out the hard way that we had to go through a couple of rent adjustments, price adjustments prior to getting the applications. And the owner would have been okay in having a lower rent amount and having the property rent quicker. On the opposite side, I've been also wrong, where the owner wanted to go on the high end of the range and I expressed my concerns saying that, hey, I didn't think the marketplace would be willing to pay it, only to find out that after it went on the market, we had multiple applications. Bottom line, it really is up to you. So long as you're within the range of the rental analysis, you will be the one to experience a success in getting the property rented quickly, or have to make the price adjustments needed in order to fill the vacancy. If you're okay testing out the market and possibly going through the vacancy, then it may make sense to go towards the higher end of the range. On the flip side, if you want to be a little bit more conservative to get multiple applications, which will allow you to have an option as to which applicant to go with and fill the vacancy a little bit faster, then we would suggest to go on the lower side of the range. If you do decide to test out the higher end of the range, here's the game plan that we recommend. Weekends are going to be where you get the majority of your showing activity. Therefore, we make it a point to tell all applicants that we're going to be reviewing all applications on Mondays, going over the information with owners on Tuesdays, and our goal would be to have provided an answer by Wednesday. This gives all applicants the time that they need in order to submit their rental application. And ideally, we would have those on Monday to be able to review. However, this also means that if we don't get a qualified applicant on Monday, then the next best step that we can take is making a price adjustment first thing on Tuesday morning. When it comes to rentals, the standard price adjustment is $100. If you look at any rental analysis and start at the high end, you'll notice that it really should only take 2 weekends to make an adjustment from the higher end of the range to the lower end of the range. At the lower end of the range, you're virtually guaranteed to get multiple applications. For more information, please be sure to read our blog found in the description called Rental Analysis, Setting and Adjusting the Price.